Mishnah Hey. We're now continuing about the discussion of taking the soil La'azazel from the Beis Hamikdash to the precipice of La'azazel. And the Mishnah says as follows: Al kol sukkah v'sukkah omrim lo. When they would go to each sukkah, there were 10 sukkahs on the way, and the distance between each sukkah was 1 mil, so that they could be accompanied without violating any problems of tchum or anything like that. And we're going to see later in the last booth there are going to be problems of tchum, which we'll explain when we get there. But I'll kol sukkah v'sukkah omrim lo. For every sukkah that the man encountered, they would say to him, Hari mozon v'hari mayim. Here you have food and we have water prepared for you. And he was allowed to drink it if it would assist him to continue his walking, because it was a hot Israeli summer. Yom Kippur is sort of late in the summer, early in the autumn, and he was walking in the desert sun. He might get very hot and dehydrated. So they offered him mozon and mayim, food and drink, when he would get there. Now the Gemara brings a brisa, which the Bar Tanura quotes, and that is, which says as follows: Me'olam lo hutzruch adam lakach. No one ever in all the times never needed to actually break his fast and eat the mozon or drink the mayim. But you can't compare the person who has pas basalo, bread in his basket literally, to the one who doesn't. So the mere fact that it was available to him should he need it, that eased his whole mindset, and it sort of eased his journey, that if he wanted to he could have it, but he never actually needed it. So these people, they would accompany him from one sukkah to the next. So in other words, when he would leave Yerushalayim, he would get to the first sukkah, they would offer him mayim and mozon, and then the person would accompany him to the next sukkah, and would then return to where he was, and he would stay there. This person would stay in his sukkah for the whole of Yom Kippur. When he would reach the next sukkah, he would then, again, the same procedure, he would offer him mayim and mozon, and then he would go to the next sukkah. And that would continue, that each of the people would return to the sukkah that they spent Yom Kippur in, and this man with the Azazel will continue on his journey. Continues the Mishnah. They would accompany him from one booth to the next, apart from the last sukkah. Why? Because the last sukkah was 2 mil, which is 4,000 cubits away from the edge of the mountain. So previously they could walk him 1 mil, which is 2,000 amas, because you're not going out of the tchum. So they would walk him to the next sukkah, and there's no problem of tchumim, which means that there's no problem of him going beyond the area where he's allowed to walk on Shabbos. The maximum you can walk is 2,000 amas. So the person would sit in his sukkah, he would walk him 1 mil, which is 2,000 amas, and therefore he would be able to go back. But this person has got a special heta, he's allowed to do it, to go beyond the mill and to do the avodah of Yom Kippurim, to take the soil all the way to the mountain. But the person at the very last sukkah, he couldn't take him all the way to the edge of the mountain, because the distance from the last sukkah to the very end was 2 mil, which is 4,000 amas. So what would he do? He would walk him as far as his tchum allowed, i.e. he would walk him 1 mil, i.e. 2,000 amas, and he would have to wait there. And the person taking the Azazel would just continue the final lap of his journey, if you like, and the man accompanying him would watch from the edge of his tchum and would watch him perform the avodah of the Azazel. That's what it means in this Mishnah. He wouldn't actually reach until the very end, to the mountain, to the precipice, but rather he would take him, he would watch from a distance and observe his actions. Now the Tosfos Yontov interestingly points out, he says, says the Tosfos Yontov, why didn't they make an 11th sukkah? Make an 11th sukkah, again 1 mil, and I understand that the last person who's at the 10th sukkah can't go beyond 1 mil and has got to watch from a distance, but I've got a good idea. Make an 11th sukkah, so therefore the man in hut number 10 would walk him to number 11, and the man in number 11 could walk him and accompany him to the very end of the journey, to the top of the mountain, and can stand next to him whilst he pushes it off. Why don't you just make an 11th sukkah? So the Tosfos Yontov explains, She'im kein lo hu mikra eretz gezerah. This is described as eretz gezerah, which means like a hard or desolate, barren place. And kiven shemin hasukah rishoyin leilech ad lashon bo bayom. So if there wasn't a sukkah, if there was a booth nearby where there's an inhabitant, there's a person sitting there, then it would violate the description of Eretz Gezerah, a desolate, abandoned, rocky place. So therefore they would make the last booth at only the 10th one, which is 2 mil, 4,000 amas from the edge of the mountain, and therefore the immediate environment of where he would throw off the animal would in fact be described rightly so as an Eretz Gezerah. That is the end of Mishnah Hey.